Okie dokie. Our good buddy Nick from Linux Experiment decided to make a video on security for Linux and some programs you could download. And when I looked into them, I noticed that, as usual, all of them were set up for SystemD and not dnit. So I thought I'd make a video just going over how to set up something for dnit if it's not already set up, and how to add modules for dnit if they aren't in the R. Like for instance, our good buddy Nick from the Linux Experiment made a video on Safing's Portmaster. They sponsored some of his videos, and in the R they only have it for normal systemd, runit, or openrc. But we're using dnit, so we're going to come to this package for the runit, and we're going to see what we need to make this run with dnit. Well, first off, we can see this package requires Portmaster stub bin. So you can go ahead and install that if you don't already have it. I already do, so I'm just going to go ahead and not install that. That's interesting. It says it's marked out of date. It was not marked out of date when I installed it yesterday. Let's go check that out. Oh no, it's been out of date for a year. I guess I just didn't pay attention. Okay, so now that we have the dependency installed, we're going to go ahead and click on the upstream link for the runit package to see what do we need to add to make this launch. And here is the run script. That's how they launch it. And we can see here that it's just loads from opt and calls a core. So let's just make sure that we have this in opt. A couple programs here, and you can see one of them is Safing. So we do have that. So if you go to your scripts folder under /etc dnitd, we can add a script called Portmaster, and it's just going to be exactly what you see here. And then we're going to go ahead and call that inside the Portmaster dnit module that we're going to create. Just make this file, since it's not in the R, under /etc dnitd. And you can see that for this, all we're going to do is have it be a process, and the command is just going to be that script that we just made in etc dnitd scripts. We want it to recover smoothly. We're going to give it a log file. It's going to wait for the login system and wait for us to be ready to log in, basically, so everything is set up and mounted, because we don't need this during the boot process. We just need this to load once we're ready to log in and start using our account. And that's pretty much it. You can see that it's here. It's being watched by dnit. We have a PID. You can see we have a log file here. It's correctly logging everything. And that's basically it. It's very easy to add stuff to dnit. That's one of the reasons I enjoy it so much, because it's so simple. Adding things is easy. Debugging is quite easy. I haven't been able to get ly to work yet. You can see it's a similar type of deal. It probably has something to do with dependencies and stuff. It actually loads. See, I have a script for it. I just did the same thing. Went to the ly's runit and just copied their script, which looked something like this. They had some bashisms in there that I removed because we don't bind bin shish or shi to bash. We bind it to a POSIX compliant shell, and then we just copy all of the things that they had in their script and bashisms and just directly run it. Since I'm just doing this on this system, I don't need any conditionals. I'm just going to have it be the setup for my system. But when it loads the input on the username and password doesn't get input correctly, and then it crashes in short order, and I haven't had time to check that out. Another program Nick talked about was Clam, and they actually do have a dnit module, but it didn't load correctly for me. It would crash because it was waiting for the pseudo file system, but I'm using btreefs, so it's not going to be able to find the programs it needs in its script here in varlib unless we mount the btreefs file system first, because we are not using true partitions. We're using logical partitions in btreefs. So we just had to go and edit this one so that it waits for login ready. You could also have it load when after mount all, but you don't really need this during the startup process, so it just makes more sense to me to wait for login ready. And then this program also works off of SystemD timer module, which obviously we don't have access to because we're not on SystemD, but that's fine because we are on Linux. So you can just go ahead and start a cron job for it. You see here is mine. Oh, no, that just reloads the database for the viruses. This also is a program that needs SystemD to reload it, so I just have it every hour reloading with a cron job. That needs to be run as root, and then the cron job for actually scanning your systems is just going to be that with telling them what place to scan. You can do it however much you want. I just have it weekly. So that's how you would handle timers and dnit instead of just having your init system do that for some reason. We'll just go ahead and use cron because that's the way that it makes sense to do it on Linux. So that's just a short little overview of how to go ahead and add things to dnit if you can't find it in the packaging system, and then how to go about editing files that weren't made to run in dnit so that you can get their full functionality in a similar way as you would under SystemD. Hope you found it helpful. dnit's the best, and everyone should be using it unless they need something more powerful like OpenRC.